Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, JessChillinAbout. Today I'm going to be filming a very different kind of video, and that is my, I guess you'd call it trying to conceive journey, but also not really a journey because it didn't actually take too long. But really the main thing is around trying to conceive with having endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome. So this video I will basically cover the first 6 weeks of trying to conceive, because it was when I was 6 weeks pregnant that we found out that I was pregnant. So this is the success story of that, I guess. I don't know, this is really weird. I've never made this kind of video before, but I thought it might be helpful for anyone who does suffer from either polycystic ovaries or endometriosis to see a positive story, because I know back then I was silly and decided to Google it to try and, you know, find some success stories to make myself feel better and be like, you know what, it can happen. And that was a dark web of sadness. Really, really sad. So many people struggling, and yes, so I thought maybe if I shared my journey of it being successful, then it might, obviously it's not going to change anything for anyone, but it might give someone that hope that things will work out. So first of all, clearly not a medical professional or anything at all. I basically have no idea what I'm talking about other than my own experience. So that's what I'm sharing today, is my own thoughts and opinions of my own experience. So if you've had a different experience, you know that's completely natural, because all our bodies are different. So it's probably going to be a little bit rambly, but again, I wanted to talk about it because I don't know, I just think I would have loved to see a video of someone talking about how it was successful for them. I mean, I did find some, don't get me wrong, and they gave me hope. So I feel like if there's more hope I can give out, then the better. So cutting to the chase, I'm currently 25 weeks pregnant. So this video has been a long time coming. It has also felt like a very long pregnancy, which I will talk about at another time, not this video. So yes, I do have polycystic ovaries and endometriosis. I won't go into detail as what they are, because there's so much information on not only the internet but YouTube specifically about what they are. But what I will give you a little recap on is basically the way that they impact pregnancy or getting pregnant. Is polycystic ovaries, you have very large ovaries. They're, I don't know what happens to them, but they're basically huge and they don't really work properly. You might not ovulate, you might not release an egg. It throws your cycle out. So for me personally, I have an average cycle of 63 days, and it could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. It'll just come when it feels like it, and then there's no way of knowing if I ovulate or not, or if I release eggs or not. The one thing that has shown that I do release eggs is I had a test a while ago, I think it was for MCH or MHC levels, which they take a blood test and they can somehow see how many eggs you have left. And so for me, I have less than normal, because at some stage I was having my period, I think it was a couple years, every single 2 weeks. So it's an indication that I was releasing an egg, because my egg levels are lower than what they should be for my age. At the time I was 27, just for reference as well. But the good news is they said you've got eggs, you've got enough eggs, but if you want to have a lot of children, you basically need to start looking at timelines, because I will keep losing them a lot faster than a normal person. And yeah, so that's kind of polycystic ovaries. Again, when you get your period, you might not release an egg, which means you're obviously not going to get pregnant. The endometriosis, so that's basically like endometrial tissue or whatever it is grows around all your lady bits basically, and they bleed, I guess, and it causes excruciating pain. It leaves scarring. I had surgery for my endometriosis about 9 years ago ish, so have not fully, but that was long enough ago that having the surgery shouldn't impact it too much, but having surgery, they burn away all the tissue, which leaves you with scarring as well. So I have scarring around my fallopian tubes and all around the area, which means that should I get my period, should I ovulate, and should my ovaries decide to release an egg, the chances of the egg, oh hold on, hello, oh right, I am back, sorry about that. Now I'm out of breath going up and down our very small set of stairs. What was I saying? Endometriosis, right. So should an egg be released and get fertilized, it may not be able to implant because of the scar tissue and the inflammation and the fact that my body tries to get rid of it. So yes, those are kind of how it can stop you getting pregnant. Having one or the other is bad enough. Having both, I have been told since I was about, I can't remember, basically since they found out I had the endometriosis, that I might not be able to get pregnant because of it. But you never know until you try, and that was a very long time ago. It was when I had my surgery for endometriosis that they discovered I also had polycystic ovaries. The fact it took that long to get a diagnosis was kind of annoying because I'd basically been suffering from endometriosis since I was 16, 17-ish, and it took until about nine and a half years ago for me to tell the doctors, I think I have this, and then to go, yeah, I think you do. So it was not easy to get a diagnosis. Is that the right word, diagnosis? It took, what's that, so 5 or 6 years of really painful, very irregular periods, and yeah, it's very difficult to get a diagnosis in New Zealand, and I'm not sure about everywhere else. I think it is based on what I find online, but doctors are just not educated about it, which is such a shame because there's a few things that can be done to help it. In my case, the only thing that they could really do, because painkillers weren't working, was to just burn it out. So that's why I had surgery for it, because it got to the point where I would vomit from the pain and basically want to pass out. The only thing that would help the endometriosis was to go to sleep. So if I started getting pain in the middle of the day, I just had to go home and go to sleep. It was like, it was horrible. And you just think like when you get your period, you can't make plans because, anyway, different story. So that's kind of my backstory, what I have. So obviously it's different for everyone else. So that's kind of what I was dealing with. And for the longest time I told myself, like, I'm not going to worry about it. We won't know until we start trying. Like, there's no point getting upset about it or stressing about it when it might be fine. It wasn't until we were actually trying that I started to stress and worry about it naturally, and I didn't really talk about it with anyone because I didn't want to make a deal of it, because I wanted to try suppress the stress, but it really made me upset, which I feel like a lot of people will understand, because you know, you try to make yourself feel better by googling things and be like, okay, let's find some success stories, and there was just like the overwhelming unfortunate and struggles that people were going through just completely outweighed any success stories. So that made me feel even worse, because I was like, shit, there are people that have been trying for years with no luck, and it just made me feel really down. So yeah, again, that's why I kind of want to talk about my story, because I did get pregnant and it can happen even with both. So yes, anyway, this is gonna be a really long video, I'm sorry. So yes, April this year, 2020, was when we decided we wanted to start trying. So my period was actually from the 1st of April, so we kind of had to wait for that to finish first. So one thing that I did do and have been doing for the longest time, I use an app called, let me just find it, it's just called Period Tracker, and it's got a little flower as the pink flower as the icon for it. I've been tracking my periods since about 2016, so that's how I know my average cycle and stuff like that, and within that it kind of predicts when you're going to ovulate or when you should ovulate, and it does kind of ish take into account the fact that my cycles are irregular. So what I did was, my friend actually gave me some ovulation sticks that you can pee on to see if your body's ovulating. I think she got them from like AliExpress or something like that. I don't know where she got them from, but she got a bulk pack, so you didn't have to worry about the cost of them, because they're very expensive if you just buy like the fancy ones. So these were like cheap bulk pack of them. So about 2.5 weeks after my period was when I started peeing on them in the morning, the same time every day, to see if the lines would change. So I did that for about a week and a bit, and I think it was around the 27th or 28th of April that I actually got like a positive, or is it called a negative? I can't remember, like a 2, that it showed up saying that I was ovulating. And so that was really exciting, because it gave me hope that, oh, maybe I am ovulating. So if I'm ovulating, then maybe I'll release an egg. So that was extremely exciting. And one thing to note though, so I was peeing on them, but I wasn't letting that stress me out. That the fact that it wasn't coming back positive didn't bother me at all. I know that some people can get stuck on those, and that if they don't see ovulation that they get really worried about it. But for me, I actually wasn't. I was just, it was making me more calm knowing that, I don't know, it's so hard to explain emotions. But basically I wasn't letting that overwhelm me or consume me or, you know, drive me insane. And I knew very well that, you know, you can miss your ovulation. Even though I'm peeing on it every day, your ovulation, what, it happens for not very long, a few hours or something like that. So I could be peeing on every day and I could just miss it. It could happen in the afternoon, it could happen at a different time of day, and it just doesn't show any results. So I was really not worried, especially again because it was the very first month of tracking it. So in the app I was inputting, you can input whether you've taken one of those tests and what the result is. So I was putting that in and leaving little comments, like some days it was slightly darker than others. But yes, I did end up getting a positive result on that. So I was like, this is exciting. And obviously, you know, you have to have sex around that time. So it was just not waiting until that time, but you know, all the good stuff. I can't believe I'm talking about this on a video, bloody hell. Anyway, so yeah, that was basically it, because after that you kind of are waiting. And so for most people, I think you only have to wait 2 weeks after that. But for me, Miss Irregular Period, who only gets it every 63 days, it said that my period wasn't due. I think it was until the 15th of May or the 16th of May or something like that. So it was a waiting game. I was not going to take a pregnancy test earlier than that, because again, it was the first month trying and I didn't want to be let down more than anything. So I figured if I, at least the longer I wait, then if it's negative, it's definitely negative, rather than taking it too early and then being like, oh, maybe I just haven't, maybe it just hasn't implanted yet, you know. And so I didn't want to worry about that. I was like, I'm not going to take it before my period's due, because again, if it comes back negative, it's definitely a negative. So the waiting game, not a fun time. I feel like I was always looking out for symptoms, but the unfortunate thing is my period symptoms are exactly the same as pregnancy symptoms. I get tender boobs, I get bloated, I get semi headaches, but not too often. There'll be days where I'll feel like irritable, like a week before my period's due. I get cramps, everything. So I was like, I'm not gonna really know. The one thing that is obviously different is implantation bleeding, which is when, is it the fertilized egg implants, you can get bleeding. So the longer I waited, I was kind of looking for that, which is kind of weird when you think about pregnancy. I was kind of like hoping that there'd be blood, and there never was. So I was like, surely if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now, and there was nothing. So I was like, okay, expect it to be negative. Until we got to about the 14th, 15th of May. So there was two things. One of them, I think, I had been sneezing a bit that week, and I don't often sneeze. Like, it was more often, and I was like, this is strange, especially with the whole COVID happening. I was like, why am I sneezing? And obviously, you know, obviously you're not going to Google sneezing as a freaking thing related to pregnancy, so I didn't. I was just like, why am I sneezing? I thought maybe I was getting sick. And then on the 14th or 15th, I can't remember, I had such bad indigestion, heartburn, whatever you want to call it. I just felt like I had acid in my throat all day for like 2 days, and that was like the biggest thing for me, because I googled that, because I think I remember that was a sign, and through googling that I found out that also sneezing was on the list of symptoms, because your muscles are relaxing and all kinds of things, so you sneeze more. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I had read as well, I read lots of things, that if you pee on one of the ovulation sticks, it can give you a false positive for ovulation if you're actually pregnant. So you can get a positive test on that if you're pregnant. So I was like, oh, you know what, okay. Must have been the 14th. So on the 15th in the morning, I was like, I'm just going to pee on one, because I definitely shouldn't be ovulating, but maybe it will be positive. So I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But I did it anyway. I peed on it, and then I looked at it, and it was like the strongest, I don't know if I have a photo. If I do, I'll put it here. I don't remember. Strongest positive I had got on one of those things, and I was like, oh my gosh, like my heart was racing, my hands were shaking. And I did film a little bit that morning, which that video is already up, so that's actually part of the pregnancy announcement video. So if you want to see that, I'll link it down below. But yeah, it was just like, could I be pregnant? I was like, I don't know. And then I was like I was thinking of all the possible symptoms I could have had, and I was like, I don't know, I just need to wait until tomorrow, because the next day was the Saturday, and Trav and I had decided we'll do a pregnancy test on the 16th, the Saturday. And I was like, it's only tomorrow, and I had that day off. I was hanging out with Tarina. Trav was working, so I was like, I'm not going to mention it because Trav's working and he'll probably just be like, just wait till tomorrow. So I kind of just sat on that all day, being like, I think I am pregnant. Like, it kind of like, it could have easily not been anything, but it was kind of just confirmed that the symptoms I had, because I had all my normal symptoms. Actually, I have this little book. I wrote things down, and I actually wrote them on my phone and then transferred them to the book because I prefer written stuff. Let me just check if there's anything I've missed. Not really, just the week before, so the 7th and 8th of May, I had put down that's when I started getting like sore boobs, and that I felt impatient and irritable. And then one of the days I had slight crampings, but it was like crampings in my thighs, which if you have endometriosis, that will sound totally normal, but when you have it, you can get pain basically from your ribs to your knees. Well, at least that's what I get anyway. So I was like, I had like period cramps in my thighs, so I was like, okay, like that's normal. I had felt unbalanced, happy and sad. I was like, that explains the unbalance, lol. And then basically all those symptoms just stayed for about a week or so. Oh, 15th May, felt nauseous all day. Oh, that's right, I did too. I felt sick on the 15th, the day that I was hanging out with Tarina. We actually had pies that day, and then we were supposed to go to a waterfall, and I didn't feel very well, so I kind of put off going out for a while because I was like, I feel really sick. But I was like, maybe it's from the pie, because it was the first pie we'd had since lockdown, like in months. So I was like, maybe it's just the pie that's making me feel sick. But also I remember now, I was trying to convince myself that I wasn't pregnant. Oh my gosh, squiggles gave me such a fright. But it was like I knew I was, but I was trying to convince myself, which is so weird. I think it's because I didn't want to be disappointed the next day, but I was trying to convince myself like, oh no, like, yeah, you know, that it's other things. That's right. But anyway, fast forward to the next day, I drank a shitload of water, and then I feel like I couldn't pee for ages, and then eventually I was like, oh, okay, now I need to pee. And we did the pregnancy test, and there's a whole video on that, so I'll link that below if you want to see it. But basically, obviously, it came back saying that I was pregnant, and I think because I'd been trying to convince myself so badly that I wasn't, for the first like half of the video about finding out, I was kind of like, trying to wrap my head around it, and then when I finally accepted like it's happening, I started crying a little bit, but I think as well because I had the camera going, I didn't want to like break down in tears and stuff like that, so I like kind of held it in a bit. But yes, anyway, there's that video that you can go watch if you want to. But that's kind of shit. I don't even know what I've spoken about. This video is so bloody long. My experience with trying to conceive with endometriosis and polycystic ovaries. Obviously I am so thankful, grateful, lucky, every kind of thing there could be that I got pregnant and on my first try, because I know that it can be very difficult, and it was something that in the back of my mind always worried me. So yeah, I don't even know what else to say other than how thankful I am that I could and did and am pregnant. So for anyone out there who is trying or struggling, just know it can happen. Obviously go talk to fertility specialists and see, you know, if you are struggling, if there's anything they can do to help. Yeah, because there's nothing that I could say that's gonna help. I guess if you are struggling, it might be nice to see the other videos, because then you have other people who are going through the same thing as you, because that's the hard thing as well, is a lot of people just don't understand mentally what it can do when you're told you might never have kids. Like, it's just such an easy thing to say, and for people to be always asking, you know, when are you having kids, blah blah blah. I got asked that all the time. If you don't know, my partner and I have been together just over 10.5 years now, and I have nieces and nephews, and we'd always get asked, hi Oreo, when are you gonna have kids? You need to have kids soon. And it always stressed me out and made me upset, because I was like, I don't even know if I can. Like, shut up. I obviously never said that. I probably should have, so that way I didn't keep getting asked all the time. But yes, anyway, I think I'm just rambling now because I don't know how to finish this video, but I hope this has helped someone, or for anyone who's just interested in my journey. I hope you have learnt something or enjoyed listening to my little trying to conceive, because it is a positive journey. Yes, and I will do some more updates soon. Sorry if that's loud. Trav's opening the garage. Hello. So yeah, I'll see you soon for another video. I'll probably do some more updates of what happened after 6 weeks, because it's been a journey. So I'll see you. Oh shit. I'll see you all soon. Please give the video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below anything at all. I don't know what. Alright, bye.